In a world teetering on the edge of chaos, two unlikely heroes stumble upon a secret that could reshape everything they thought they knew. With shadows from the past lurking behind every corner and danger closing in, they race against time to unlock a hidden legacy buried deep within the blueprints of a vanished genius. But as the mystery unfolds, they realize they're not just fighting for answers. They're fighting for the future itself. Will they crack the code before it's too late? The answer lies beyond the secrets they dare to uncover. Stay tuned, because what they find might change everything forever. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now, hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. The comm channel crackled sharply, slicing through the silence with a jagged edge that made my gut tighten. Zara's voice erupted through it, sharp and urgent, like a whip cracking in the stillness of space. Tell me what happened. There was no hiding her frustration, her anger, or that flicker of desperation that she fought so hard to conceal beneath her calm exterior. Honestly, I couldn't blame her. If some random alien had just announced that they'd met my dead father and owed him a planetary favor, I'd probably be demanding answers too. I adjusted in my cramped cockpit, the old, battered salvage ship creaking around me. My fingers idled over the controls as I tried to find a way to explain without revealing too much, without sounding crazy. Bad decisions, I mumbled, voice gravelly from disuse. It's a long story, and frankly, you might not want to hear it all. But Zara wasn't letting go. Her voice sharpened, unwavering, with that fierce determination I'd come to recognize. Try me. There was a pause, thick with unspoken questions. Her gaze was unwavering, focused. I could tell she was already piecing things together, already sensing there was more behind my words than I was willing to say. I let out a soft, almost embarrassed laugh, despite the tension. You sound just like him when you get pissed, I said, trying to lighten the mood. Same tone, same everything. It's uncanny. That was a mistake. The calm in her voice evaporated instantly, replaced by a dead silence so cold I could practically feel the temperature drop through the vacuum of space. Her breathing slowed, measured, like she was calculating her next move. Sorry, I hurried, voice dipped in apology. It's just, you sound exactly like him when you're mad, when you're determined. Same tone, same way you hold yourself. It's uncanny. There was a flicker of something in her eyes then, hope, maybe, or a small crack in her armor. Been there before. When someone you love dies in the black, you cling to any connection, any story, any shred of proof that they mattered, that they were real. I knew him, I continued softly, almost to myself. James Kellerman, engineer, stubborn as a mule, had this weird habit of humming old Earth songs, like Blue Skies or Somewhere Over the Rainbow, while he worked. That's how I remember him most. He built my world, literally. I mean, he designed and engineered everything that kept us alive out there. Her eyes widened. How? I hesitated, then pushed forward. 3 years ago, I was dying. Not heroically or in some noble way. Just slowly. My body was giving up because the planet I was on, Kepler 442c, had been stripped to nothing. The mines had sucked out every useful mineral, poisoned the atmosphere. The few survivors were left to suffocate on a dead rock. I managed to scrape together enough credits for a one-way ticket into space, figuring I'd rather die watching stars than rot on that cursed planet. Her breath hitched, but she said nothing, just listening intently. That's when I met your father, I said, voice rough with memories. He was sitting in a bar on Kepler Station, nursing a whiskey, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. I was 3 drinks in, feeling philosophical about my impending doom, when he struck up a conversation. I paused, watching her. He asked me what I'd do if I could save my world. No, small talk, just straight out, like he was asking about the weather or something equally mundane. Zara's eyes narrowed. What did you say? I chuckled, shaking my head. I told him I'd probably start by reversing the atmospheric toxification if we had the technology, and if we could afford it. But I knew we didn't. Then he said something that knocked me sideways. What? He looked at me with those intense eyes and said, "Well, that's convenient. I happen to have both." Her brow furrowed. "He knew my father?" "Yeah," I said, slowly, feeling the weight of the memory. "Knew him well. James was a stubborn, brilliant engineer, always humming Earth tunes, and he promised he'd save my planet. Somehow he did." I paused, letting it settle. He bought the whole planet Kepler 442c. The hegemony was eager to get rid of it, considered it worthless, and sold it cheap. James showed up with a contract, a credit chip, and a plan. Turns out he'd invented an atmospheric processor, something that could break down toxins and turn them into breathable air. He sued the hegemony for stealing his design, won, and then demanded the equipment to do the job. Zara's eyes widened even more. How did he have that kind of money? Patent royalties, I explained. He sued them and won, then demanded industrial gear instead of credits. Money's just numbers, but gear that rebuilds worlds. So he bought my planet, our planet. Her voice was trembling now. He actually did it? Not just did it, I said. He turned Kepler 442c into a paradise. Forests, weather systems, and cities that grew with the people. He spent 2 years redesigning the ecosystem, making it perfect just like he wanted. I took a breath, feeling the weight of memories. He hummed Earth songs, especially Puff the Magic Dragon, while building the children's neighborhoods. Said it was his daughter's favorite. I think he wanted to create something she'd love, if he ever got the chance to see her again. Her eyes shimmered with emotion, but she said nothing for a moment. Then softly, "He knew about me?" "Every night," I replied. "He was proud. Told me about you, said you were studying xenobiology, trying to help species coexist. He left Earth because he blamed himself. Said he was running from guilt, about leaving you behind." Her gaze darkened. "What happened to him?" I hesitated, then whispered, "He was searching for you, for 3 years, tracking leads, reaching out through underground networks." Then, I swallowed hard. "For months ago, I got the news. Pirates near the Vega asteroid belt attacked his ship. No survivors." Her silence was heavy. I saw the pain behind her eyes. "I'm sorry," I whispered again. "That's not the ending you wanted, I know." Her voice was steady now, a quiet resolve. "It's what I expected. I've been looking for him, too. Since I graduated, I've tracked refugee movements, followed sightings, chased every lead I could find. I knew he was alive and looking for me. Why didn't you stay put?" She let out a bitter laugh. "Because I'm his daughter, sitting around waiting, hoping someone will rescue me. That's not who I am. I've got to find him. I have to see his world." I looked at her, understanding deep in my bones. "Then we'll do everything we can to get you there." I took a long breath, staring out into the endless black of space beyond the viewport. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, until Zara's voice broke through again, softer this time, tinged with curiosity and a hint of awe. "So, he bought your planet?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah," I replied, feeling the weight of it all settle on my shoulders. Kepler 442c. The hegemony was eager to get rid of it, called it worthless, a dead rock. Sold it for practically nothing, expecting it just to sit there, unlivable. But James, he saw potential, saw a chance to do something big. Her eyes widened. "He actually managed to buy a whole planet?" I nodded slowly. "He did. It wasn't easy, though. The guy was stubborn as hell. But he had a plan. He built this atmospheric processor, an invention that could break down toxins, purify the air, and make the environment habitable again. It was his masterpiece, his ticket to redemption, maybe even salvation for a planet that everyone else had written off. Her voice was filled with disbelief. And the hegemony just sold it? They didn't see what he saw. I laughed softly, shaking my head. No, they wanted to get rid of it because it was costly to maintain, or so they said. But James, he wasn't one to give up that easily. He sued them, took them to court over his design. And you know what? He won. He proved they'd stolen his tech, his patents, and he demanded compensation. Not just money, he wanted the equipment. The machinery that could do the job. Zara's eyes flickered with surprise. He sued them and won? Yeah, I said, a trace of admiration in my voice. He had the evidence, the patents, the proof. The hegemony couldn't deny it. They were furious. They didn't want to admit they'd stolen from an engineer who was stubborn enough to fight back. But James? He was relentless. He got what he wanted, an industrial breakthrough that could revive worlds. Her brow furrowed. So he bought the planet, then turned it into what? A paradise? Exactly, I said, a hint of pride creeping into my tone. He spent 2 years redesigning the entire ecosystem. Forests, weather patterns, water cycles, everything. He wanted it to be perfect, a place where life could flourish again. And he hummed old Earth tunes, songs like Blue Skies and Somewhere Over the Rainbow, while he worked. That's how I remember him best. Peaceful, determined, humming his favorite melodies as he built this new world. Zara looked at me, her expression softening. He really did all that? More than you can imagine, I said quietly. He built cities that blended into the landscape, homes that were efficient but beautiful. Every piece of infrastructure had its touch, designed to help the people living here thrive. But the most important thing he built was hope. Hope that a planet, any planet, could be reborn, could be saved, even after it had been battered and broken. Her eyes shimmered, and she reached out instinctively, her voice trembling with emotion. All that he left behind, it's incredible. I nodded. He hummed Puff the Magic Dragon while designing the children's neighborhoods. Said it was his favorite song, and he wanted to create a place she'd love if he ever saw her again. She looked away for a moment, her voice barely audible. You think he knew I'd come back someday? I looked at her, feeling the same hope ignite inside me. I think he believed in you. That's why he built this. That's why he fought so hard for it. There was a long pause. Outside, the stars continued their silent vigil, witnesses to a legacy that was still unfolding. I wish I'd met him, Zara whispered. You will, I promised. One day, when the time is right. The conversation drifted into a contemplative silence as I stared at the flickering stars beyond the viewport. Zara's gaze was fixed on me, her eyes searching for answers buried beneath the weight of what I'd just revealed. Finally, she broke the silence, her voice softer but tinged with curiosity. So, your friend, your father, he built all this, just out of sheer stubbornness and genius? No wonder it's so incredible. I chuckled, rubbing my jaw. Stubbornness runs in the family, apparently. He believed in second chances, believed this planet deserved one, even if everyone else thought it was a lost cause. She tilted her head, a flicker of a smirk playing on her lips. He must have been quite the character, like a mad scientist with a heart of gold. Exactly, I said, grinning. The kind of guy who hummed Blue Skies while working on a machine that could change the course of a planet's destiny. He had this crazy optimism, like he genuinely thought he could rewrite the universe if he put his mind to it. And honestly, he did. Zara's eyes flickered with admiration. All that effort, all that hope, just because he believed in saving something others had given up on. No wonder you're so driven. I guess, I admitted, feeling the warmth of those memories. He always said that every problem has a solution. Sometimes you just have to look a little harder, think a little bigger. That's how he managed to turn Kepler 442c into a sanctuary. Built it from scratch, layer by layer, piece by piece. It was his masterpiece, his legacy. She looked intrigued. And you? Did you help him? I hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I was right there, watching him work, learning from him. It wasn't easy. Sometimes I thought he was crazy, humming those old Earth songs while he tinkered with machines the size of buildings. But I learned a lot. Mostly that hope is the strongest thing we have, especially when everything else seems lost. Her expression softened. You really loved him, didn't you? I looked away, my voice thick with emotion. More than I can say. He was more than a father, he was a mentor, a hero in his way. And he believed in this planet, in us more than anyone else ever did. That belief, that hope, that's what kept us going through the hardest times. Zara reached out, her hand brushing my shoulder gently. It's incredible, the way he fought for this place, for his dreams. It's inspiring. I wish I'd known him. I looked back at her, feeling a flicker of warmth despite the pain. You will, promise. When the time's right, we'll find a way for you to meet him. See what he saw, feel what he felt. She nodded slowly, a determined look in her eyes. I'll do whatever it takes. I've come this far and I won't stop now. Outside, the stars continued their silent vigil, casting a gentle glow over our little ship. The universe was vast, and our journey was far from over. But in that quiet moment, I felt a strange sense of hope, because somewhere out there, beyond the darkness, was a man who dared to believe in miracles. And now, somehow, so did I. We sat in silence again, each lost in our thoughts, but connected by the unbreakable thread of hope and the promise of a future full of possibilities. The hum of the ship's engine was the only sound as I adjusted the controls, feeling the weight of everything I just shared settling over me like a thick blanket. Zara leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes reflecting the faint glow of the control panel. After a long moment, she finally spoke, her voice tinged with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. So, your father built all this, his dream, despite everyone telling him it was impossible? That's incredible. But why did he leave it all behind? Why did he disappear? I hesitated, the question hanging in the air like a heavy fog. He believed in the bigger picture, I finally replied, voice low. He knew that sometimes you have to walk away from what you've built to protect it truly. He thought maybe it was safer for him for us to disappear, to let the world forget he ever existed. That way, no one could come back and destroy what he'd created. Zara's brows furrowed. That sounds kind of lonely, leaving everything behind. Your home, your work, your legacy, just to keep it safe. I nodded slowly. Yeah, it was lonely, but he believed that sometimes sacrifice was necessary. That if he stayed, he'd only attract trouble. And trouble, powerful, dangerous trouble, was exactly what he'd fought against his whole life. Leaving was his way of protecting the future, even if it meant losing everything in the process. She looked at me, eyes narrowing slightly. But what about his work? His inventions? Did he just abandon them? I shook my head. No. Not entirely. Before he left, he hid a lot of his research, encrypted everything, buried the blueprints somewhere only he knew how to find. That's why I'm here, why I've been searching for his notes, because I believe that somewhere, buried deep beneath the surface, there's a way to finish what he started, to complete his vision of a reborn planet. Her voice softened. It's like he left you a trail, then a puzzle to solve. Exactly, I said, a hint of a smile touching my lips. He was always a bit of a puzzle solver. He loved riddles, secret codes, anything that made you think. That's how he protected his most important work. He knew that if someone else got hold of it, they'd weaponize it. So he hid it carefully, meticulously. I just wish I knew where he'd hidden the key. Zara stepped closer, her eyes bright with determination. Then we find it. We finish what he started. We bring his dreams back to life. I looked at her, surprised by the fire in her voice. You really believe we can do that? She grinned. I wouldn't have come this far if I didn't. A flicker of hope sparked inside me. Maybe Just maybe, together, we could piece the fragments of his legacy, unlock the secrets he'd left behind, and finally give his vision the chance to become reality. The universe was vast, and the path ahead was uncertain, but I knew one thing for sure. His spirit lived on in us, in every step we took forward. We were carrying his dreams now, whether we realized it or not, and I was determined to see them fulfilled, no matter what it took. The silence returned, but this time, it felt different, full of promise, of possibility. Because if my father's legacy had taught me anything, it was that hope was the most potent force of all. The night stretched on as we sat in the dim glow of the control panel, the stars outside flickering like distant memories. I couldn't help but feel the weight of everything. The secrets, the hopes, the fears, all pressing down on me. Zara broke the silence with a teasing grin. So what's the plan now, genius? We find your father's hidden blueprints, and then what? Save the planet in one fell swoop. I chuckled, rubbing my forehead. Wouldn't that be nice? But it's not that simple. It's like solving a giant puzzle. Each piece hidden in a different place, protected by riddles, traps, and maybe even a few surprises he left just to keep nosy people out. She raised an eyebrow. A puzzle, huh? Well, I've always been good at riddles. Maybe I can help. I looked at her, surprised by her confidence. You think you can crack my dad's secret codes? She smirked. Hey, I've had my fair share of adventures, remember? I've dealt with worse. Besides, I've got a feeling this isn't just about technology. It's about legacy. Something he wanted us to find when the time was right. I nodded, feeling a flicker of hope. Exactly. He knew that if anyone could unlock the secrets, it would be us, his children, his legacy. But I also know this won't be easy. Some of his most precious work isn't just hidden. It's guarded by the most complex security systems he ever designed. I've been trying to crack them for months, but I'm no master at encryption. Zara leaned in closer, her eyes gleaming with determination. Then we learn. We study his work, his notes, his blueprints. We become the masters he believed we could be. Besides, I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. She waggled her eyebrows playfully, like hacking into systems faster than you can say, password. I laughed, feeling a rare spark of camaraderie and trust. All right, partner. Looks like we're in this together. And if we do find those blueprints, what's the first thing you think we should do? She grinned mischievously. First, we celebrate by smashing a few of those ancient frozen snacks from the fridge. Because, let's face it, even heroes need a break. Then we get serious and decipher his clues. And who knows? Maybe we'll stumble upon the key to not just saving the planet, but rewriting its future. I looked at her, a newfound sense of purpose swelling inside me. You really believe we can do this, don't you? She nodded firmly. Ido. Because if your father's legacy taught me anything, it's that no secret is too deep, no puzzle too complicated. When you've got hope, a little bit of humor, and a lot of stubbornness, well, that's the perfect recipe for change. As the stars shimmered outside, I realized that this wasn't just about finding some hidden files or unlocking some ancient technology. It was about carrying forward a dream, his dream, and transforming it into reality. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with danger and riddles, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to give up. Not now, not ever. Because somewhere deep inside, I believed in the impossible and I believed in us. Together, we would uncover the truth, no matter what obstacles lay in our path. And with that thought, a faint smile touched my lips, ready to face whatever came next. The air in the ship grew thick with anticipation as Zara and I prepared to delve into the unknown, the flickering screens casting eerie shadows across our determined faces. We were standing at the edge of discovery, the blueprints and secrets of my father hidden somewhere in the labyrinth of his design. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. This is it, I said softly. No turning back now. Zara grinned, her eyes sparkling with excitement. I've always loved a good adventure, especially when it involves solving mysteries that could change everything. She paused, then added with a teasing smile, "And I hope you're ready to be amazed, because I've got a few tricks up my sleeve too." I rolled my eyes but couldn't suppress a smile. "I'm counting on it. Just remember, this isn't just about hacking some system or cracking a code. It's about unlocking the future. Your future, my future, and the future of everyone we care about." She nodded, her expression suddenly serious. "Yeah, and if we find what we're looking for, we'd better be prepared for the fight of our lives. Because I have a feeling your father didn't leave those blueprints lying around without a reason. He knew someone would come looking, someone dangerous." I ran my fingers over the screen, feeling the cold metal beneath my fingertips. "That's why I've been so cautious. His encryption is complex, layered with so many puzzles. I sometimes wonder if he wanted to test us, or just keep the wrong people out. But I believe in what he left behind. It's more than just technology, it's hope. Hope that one day we can rebuild what was lost." Zara leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "And if we do find those blueprints, what's the first thing you want to do?" I hesitated, then grinned. "Honestly, I want to see the look on your face when we crack the last code. But more than that, I want us to be the ones to finish his work. To take that leap he never got to make." She smirked. "Well, then we'd better get to work. I've got a few ideas on how to bypass some of those security layers. And don't worry, I've already mapped out some backup plans, just in case." Her confidence was contagious, and I felt a flicker of reassurance stirring inside me. "Good," I said, "because I trust you, and I know that whatever's hidden in those blueprints, we're the ones meant to find it. Together." She gave me a playful punch on the shoulder. "Don't get all sentimental now. We've got a universe to save." As I stared at the flickering screens, my mind raced with possibilities. Every puzzle piece, every cipher, brought us closer to unlocking the truth. I knew that once we cracked the code, nothing would be the same. We'd be rewriting history, forging a new path out of the chaos. The stakes were high, but so was our resolve. Because somewhere deep inside, I knew this was what my father had always wanted, to pass on his legacy, to inspire hope, and to remind everyone that even in the darkest times, a spark of ingenuity and courage could light the way forward. With a deep breath, I felt the weight of the mission settle on my shoulders, but also a newfound strength. We were about to step into the unknown, and I was ready to face whatever mysteries awaited, because I knew that in the end, we wouldn't just find blueprints, we'd find the future. The moment had finally arrived. The air was thick with tension as Zara and I stared at the glowing screen, the last piece of the puzzle now within reach. Every second felt like an eternity, and I could see the anticipation in her eyes, the way her fingers trembled slightly as she prepared to decode what could change everything. "All right," I said, voice steady but filled with a mix of excitement and fear. "This is it. The final key." Zara took a deep breath, her lips curling into a confident smirk. "I've been waiting for this moment since we first started digging through those old blueprints. If your dad left us a trap, I swear I'll crack it faster than you can say legacy." She chuckled, but her eyes were sharp, focused on the screen. "Let's do this." With a few deft movements, she began typing rapidly, the sound of her fingers dancing across the keyboard echoing in the quiet room. Lines of code scrolled past as she navigated the intricate security layers. I couldn't help but feel a surge of adrenaline. It was like staring into the abyss, knowing that whatever secrets lay beneath could either save us or destroy everything we knew. "Whoa," Zara muttered, her brow furrowing as she worked. "This encryption is tighter than a vault in Fort Knox. But I've seen tougher puzzles in my sleep." She grinned mischievously. "And I've got a few tricks up my sleeve." Her confidence was infectious, and I found myself leaning in closer, eager to catch every move. Suddenly, the screen flickered, and a series of complex symbols appeared. My heart pounded. "Are we in?" I asked breathlessly. Zara nodded, eyes shining with triumph. "Yes, we've broken through the last layer. The blueprints are ours." Her voice was filled with a mixture of relief and victory. "Now, just give me a second to decrypt these files." As she worked, I stared at the screen, imagining the possibilities. We were on the brink of uncovering my father's greatest secrets. Secrets that could revolutionize the world. The blueprints weren't just technical drawings. They were a map to hope, to rebuilding what had been lost, and to a future nobody had dared to dream of. Zara suddenly leaned back, a triumphant grin stretching across her face. "Got it! The files are open. And, wow! This is bigger than I ever imagined." She looked at me, eyes wide with awe. "Your father wasn't just a genius, he was a visionary. These plans could change everything." I felt a lump rise in my throat. "So, what's next?" I asked softly. Zara's smile grew even wider. "Now, we take what we've found and make sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. We're gonna protect it, no matter what, because this isn't just about saving the planet. It's about honoring his legacy." I nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. We had reached the end of our journey, but I knew this was only the beginning. The blueprints were more than just schematics. They were a beacon of hope, a blueprint for a better future. And together we would see it through. The weight of the world was on our shoulders, but so was the power to change it. As I looked at Zara, I realized that whatever challenges lay ahead, we had the strength, the courage, and the resolve to face them. Because in that moment, we weren't just two kids trying to unlock secrets. We were the architects of a new tomorrow. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning.